So a new poll in the Senate race in Ohio shows Democratic Congressman Tim Ryan with a sizable lead over his Republican opponent. The latest poll from Center Street PAC, a nonpartisan political action committee, shows Ryan leading his Republican opponent, J.D. Vance, 49 to 38% among likely voters. 12% remain undecided. Joe, what do you make of these polls? This is not the first one that shows Ryan in the lead.
Yeah, Ryan's been in the lead in quite a few polls. I mean, who knows? Maybe this is outside the margin. But you have Tim Ryan, a guy who has served Youngstown, Ohio for a long time. They know him. Running against Butters, who's like, I like San Francisco. I hate San Francisco. I like venture capitalism. I hate venture capitalism. I mean, he goes back and forth. I love Silicon Valley, hate Silicon Valley. I mean, he's obviously a phony, and I think it's showing up in these polls, just like Dr. Oz, guy who votes in Turkey, lives in Jersey. I mean, votes in Turkey, lives in Jersey, running for senator in the Keystone State. Wow. I mean, there's a song or a chant there somewhere, John Heilman. But again, you look at the Republicans, you look at what they're doing with legislation across the country. You look at 10-year-old girls having to flee their states who are raped because the state's going to force them to have their rapist baby. You look at other Republican legislators that are putting together a rapist's family's Bill of Rights, that if a young girl is raped and she tries to end the rapist's pregnancy, then the rapist's family members can sue her for $20,000. Each one of them can. In Texas, they're fighting the federal government's attempts to stop moms from dying on operating tables. This is really crazy stuff. We saw it play out in Kansas the other day. And now you look again at Butters and Dr. Oz and some of these crackpots, some of these phonies running. I've got to believe, if you're Mitch McConnell, or if you're a Republican that actually thought this year was going to be easy, you've just got to be shaking your head at this point.
Well, Mitch McConnell's seen it before, Joe, and, he did some interviews earlier this year where he was like, where you could tell he was haunted by the specter of 2014 and some other of these elections where they had issues. 2010. There's then this tendency in this new century for Republicans to, especially in the Senate side, to mess up opportunities to win seats they should be able to win. So Mitch McConnell knows what this feels like, and it feels to me like he must be having that sinking feeling again. And I'll say, there's nothing that makes me want to say Happy Friday more than hearing you do your J.D. Vance imitation. It always cheers me up because it's getting better and better, It's almost ready for prime time, but very good. But look, it's the reality, and I think that thing we talked about the day after the Kansas vote. All of those things are true, and you cite some very vivid examples of things. They're so vivid that they cut through all the media clutter, the story of that young girl in Indiana, for people in Kansas who, as we talked about the other day, for the last 50 years, you could say whatever you wanted to say about abortion. I'm not doubting anyone's beliefs or their religious convictions or whatever, but you could talk about what you thought about pro-life, pro-choice, whatever. And then suddenly, the Dobbs happens, the world changes, and the things that people have seen in the time since Dobbs have been the kinds of things that people who essentially had a free vote in the past where they could say whatever they wanted about being against abortion, suddenly had to look up and go, oh, this is what it means to be anti-abortion. This is what it means to be staunchly pro-life. This is what governors are going to do. This is what the human consequences are going to be. That is both a powerful thing at a human level, and we saw the consequences in Kansas, but it's also for Democrats. There have been a lot of people out there in the last few days saying Democrats need to harness this energy in a very proactive way. And if you give the party these bad candidates that you pointed to in the Senate races, and you give them a big issue like this that seems to have so much power, as demonstrated by Kansas, again, it doesn't give Democrats a cakewalk to taking control of the Senate or holding control of the House, but it makes it. I mean, it's really, it could be the final thing that makes this an even match, basically, in November, and gives Democrats a fighting chance to do both those things.